Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, my respected lecturer, Ms. Prihatin Pujastuti, and everyone who watching this video. Today, I'm going to present about a topic with the title Language and Brain. Okay, without any further ado, let's get started. The relationship between language and the brain is the foundational topic in psycholinguistics, a field that explores how humans acquire, process, and produce language. Understanding the neurological underpinnings of language helps illuminate how specific brain regions, such as Broca's and Wernicke's areas, contribute to speech production and comprehension. This connection is significant in Introduction to Psycholinguistics because it bridges the biological mechanisms of the brain with linguistic functions, revealing insights into how language shapes human thought and communication. Additionally, it provides a framework for understanding language disorders, bilingualism, and the cognitive processes involved in language acquisition. Studying this relationship enhances our grasp of human cognition and the intricacies of language use, fostering how interdisciplinary exploration between neuroscience and psycholinguistics. The brain, viewed laterally from the left, showcases its primary structural components. It is divided into two hemispheres, each responsible for specific functions. The surface or cortex has distinct lobes: frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital, each playing a unique role in motor control, sensory perception, language, and vision. This side view helps identify important areas related to cognitive and sensory tasks. Okay. Here are key regions of the brain are involved in language processing. The first one is Broca's area. It is in the frontal lobe and is critical for speech production and motor articulation. The second one is Wernicke's area, situated in the temporal lobe. It is essential for understanding spoken language. The third one is angular gyrus, links visual and auditory information, aiding in reading and writing. And the next one is Hall's gyri, handles auditory signal processing. And the next is Exner Center, controls motor function for writing. These areas collectively enable complex language function. Okay, the next one is language processing involves interconnected neural pathways. First, speech production begins in Wernicke's area, moves to Broca's area for speech encoding, and activates motor areas for articulation. And the second one, reading aloud requires visual input from the visual cortex, passing through in angular gyrus and Wernicke's area before vocalization by Broca's area. And the third one is speech comprehension, starts with auditory input in the auditory cortex, which is interpreted by Wernicke's area. Okay, move to the hemispheres of the brain. The brain consists of left and right hemispheres, controlling opposite sides of the body. The left hemisphere is dominant for logical tasks, language, and analysis, while the right hemisphere excels in creativity, emotions, and visuospatial tasks. Communication between the two hemispheres is enabled by the corpus callosum, a thick bundle of nerve fibers. Okay, the next is human brain left and right function. This picture illustrates the distinct functions of each hemisphere. While the left brain handles logical and linguistic tasks, the right brain processes spatial and creative activities. Okay, the left hemispheres specialize in detailed language processing, including syntax, tone, and inflections. In contrast, the right hemisphere handles movement and non-linguistic tasks such as spatial information. This division is due to the left hemisphere's greater computational power, making it better suited for handling the complexity of language. Okay, here are the two main areas of language in the brain. The first one is Broca's area, located in the frontal lobe, involved in speech production and motor functions for articulation. And the next one is Wernicke's area, located in the temporal lobe, is essential for understanding the spoken language. Here are the two main language areas. The first one is Broca's area. Discovered by Paul Broca, this region is responsible for speech production. Damage here results in difficulty of speaking but preserved comprehension. The next one is Wernicke's area. It's identified by Carl Wernicke. This area is vital for language comprehension. Damage leads to fluent but nonsensical speech. Okay, the next one is language disorders or aphasia. Aphasia is language disorder caused by brain damage, and it has various types. The first one is Broca's aphasia, impairs speech production but intake comprehension. The next one is Wernicke's aphasia, fluent speech, lacking meaning, and poor comprehension. And dyslexia is difficulty in reading due to neural processing issues. And the last one is agraphia, is writing impairment due to brain damage. Alright, here are the methods of investigating brain and language. The researchers have used various methods to study how the brain processes language. These methods fall into two categories. The first one is traditional methods, and the second one is modern imaging techniques. For the traditional methods, the first one there is postmortem examination. This was one of the earliest methods used by scientists like Broca and Wernicke. They studied the brain of deceased patients who had shown language disorders during life. Correlating the brain damage with language deficits helped identify areas critical for language, such as Broca's and Wernicke's areas. And the second one is observing brain damaged patients. By studying living patients who had suffered brain injuries from strokes, accidents, or surgeries, researchers could infer which areas of the brain were responsible for specific language functions. For example, if damage to a specific region impaired speech, that region was assumed to play a role in language production. And the third one is electrical stimulation during surgery. Neurosurgeons like Waldo Penfold apply mild electrical currents to the exposed brains of conscious patients during surgery. Patients would report sensations or experiences such as recalling a memory or hearing a word, helping to map language-related areas of the brain. And the next one is modern imaging techniques. The first one is CT or CT scans or computational tomography. CT scans use X-rays to create detailed cross-sectional images of the brain. They are useful for detecting structural damage, such as lesions or tumors, which can affect language abilities. And the second one is PET scans or positron emission tomography. PET scans involve injecting a small amount of radioactive tracer into bloodstream. The scanner detects areas of increased brain activity by measuring blood flow, providing insights into which regions are active during language tasks. And the third one is MRI or magnetic resonance imaging. MRI uses strong magnetic fields and radio waves to produce high-resolution image of the brain. It is particularly effective for examining brain structures without exposing patients to radiation. And the fourth, ERP or event related potentials. ERP is a technique that measures brain activity through EEG or electronic encephalography. Electrodes placed on the scalp record electrical response to specific language stimuli. For example, hearing or reading a word. This method provides precise timing information about how brain processes language. Okay, Here are a case study of language and brain. This is language abilities after left hemisphere brain injury. The study investigates how left hemisphere brain injuries impact language abilities, focusing on two pairs of twins, one of each pair affected by early brain damage. Results reveal significant variability in language recovery, highlighting factors such as the age of injury, the extent of damage, and environmental support. Younger individuals demonstrated greater recovery potential due to the brain's neuroplasticity, allowing the right hemisphere to adapt and take over language functions typically managed by the left. Environmental factors such as early intervention and speech therapy further enhance recovery outcomes. The findings underscore the importance of early detection and personalized rehabilitation strategies, demonstrating how the brain's adaptability and can compensate for damage and restore language abilities. The conclusion, the relationship between neurolinguistics and psycholinguistics reveals how specific brain regions such as Broca's and Wernicke's areas enable language functions like speech production and comprehension. Key brain structures, including the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes, work in coordination through complex neural pathways to facilitate language process like speaking, reading aloud, and understanding the speech. Hemispheric specialization shows how the left hemisphere handles the linguistic and logical tasks, while the right is dominant in creativity and spatial functions. Damage to Broca's or Wernicke's areas results in aphasia, a language disorder that disrupts speech production or comprehension. Research in language and the brain function has advanced through both traditional methods and such as post-mortem studies and observation of brain-injured patients, and modern techniques like MRI and PET scans, which provide the real-time insights. The study of language abilities after left hemisphere injury emphasizes the brain's plasticity and the importance of early intervention. The findings underscore how neuroscience and linguistics together enhance our understanding of human cognition, language development, and recovery from brain injuries. Okay, that's all language and brain understanding from me. If you have any question, you can ask me to in the comment section below. Okay, and thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.